Greetings from National Academy of Medical Sciences, India. NAMS has been recognized by the Government of India as a nodal agency for promoting the continuing medical education for medical and biomedical professionals. National Academy of Medical Sciences encourages and sponsors nationwide CME programs, symposia and workshops in medical and biomedical professionals. NAMS is pleased to announce the launching of a joint AIIMS-NAMS Navigate CME program from 1st September 2023 for postgraduate students in all the AIIMS and other eminent institutes of national importance from Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Gujarat, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Odisha, Punjab, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Tripura, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand of the country. The program is being conducted online on the first Friday of every month from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. The AIIMS-NAMS CME focuses on the topics which are of common interest for the postgraduates across all specialties. The aim of the National Virtual Postgraduate Medical CME is to help them to be more proficient in their profession. Each session will cover the topics. Each topic will be of 1 hour duration, which includes 45 minutes for presentation by speaker, 15 minutes for questions and answers. Thank you for your kind support.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the next session of AIIMS-NAMS Navigate Medico CME program. And in this series, we will now listen to a very interesting topic that is on organ donation and transplantation. So in order to start the session, I would like to request Professor A.K. Sood, sir, for the welcome address. Sir is the Deputy Secretary of National Academy of Medical Sciences. Sood, sir, please.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, it is indeed my great privilege and pleasure to welcome the distinguished, most eminent speaker for this evening, Professor Dr. Y.K. Chawla, sir. Sir has been earlier the director of PGI Chandigarh and also headed the Department of Hepatology for a long time. And as Dr. Jaswant said, today we are going to have a very interesting topic on organ donation and transplantation. And we hope that this topic will be of interest to all the faculty members as well as the postgraduate student across all the specialties. I would like to mention here that sir has been associated with this academy for a long time, and we are really grateful to him for his valuable support. Earlier, sir has headed a task force on organ donation and transplantation, and this report is available on the website, so you can refer to that for more detail. And recently, sir has helped and supported the academy in another report on hepatic cell carcinoma, which again is a very important document for postgraduate students as well as the policymaker. So we are really grateful to you, sir, for your support and valuable time from for the academy for its academic activities. I will also like to welcome all the faculty members from various AIIMS and medical colleges as well as the postgraduate students who are with us this evening. And I appeal to all of you to please make best use of this opportunity, and you can ask questions and give your comments at the end of the session. So once again, I welcome you all, and I am very sure that this session is going to be very, very useful and productive. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Jaswant.
Thank you, sir, for the welcome address. Now I would like to request our technical persons to kindly display the message from Professor Sarin, sir. Professor Shiv Sarin, sir, is the President of National Academy of Medical Sciences, and he has a very good message for all of us. So we are going to listen to his message.
On behalf of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, it gives me immense pleasure to invite you to this National Medical postgraduate virtual CME program to navigate our postgraduates to become better clinicians, better physicians, surgeons, and investigators, and also to be able to get into higher courses with ease. National Academy of Medical Sciences is your own academy. It is an umbrella organization which involves experts from all fields of medicine and paramedical departments. Also, it includes researchers and eminent scientists from overseas. National Academy helps to find the best talents, to recognize them, and also to request them to teach students and colleagues across. This CME program is very special because the Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock, is with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. As you know fully well, there are about 16 AIIMS in India, and these institutions of higher learning have joined hands with National Academy of Medical Sciences. The faculty there or the experts visiting these institutes are going to give their best pieces of knowledge to students and faculty across. I feel the knowledge given through these AIIMS and NAMS CME is of immense use to all our students. The National Academy will continue to strive and improve the clinical and knowledge base of our youngsters. I am very thankful to the director, AIIMS, Dr. Srinivas, who has consented to be part of this program, and also to all other directors of AIIMS who have given their time. I encourage you to invite students, motivate them to learn, and be with us every first Friday of the month from 3 to 5 p.m. With this, I welcome today's speaker. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the message from Professor Siv K. Sarin, sir. Now we would listen to the message from Professor M. Srinivas. He is the director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. He has blessed us with his kind words, so we would listen to his recorded message.
Namaskar. At the outset, I congratulate the team behind the NAMS-AIIMS Navigate CME program. Providing quality of education to our postgraduate students is one of the prime responsibilities of AIIMS. I know that our able faculty is leaving no stone unturned in achieving this mission. However, there always remains a scope for improvement. Through this unique initiative, there is an opportunity for our postgraduate students to learn from the experts in their field. This learning will go beyond the boundaries of department where our postgraduate students are working and will also bring in more flavor in their knowledge and at the same time ensure dissemination of uniform, high quality content all across the nation. Postgraduate students also form our primary workforce for providing patient care. This indeed is an important component of their training. We are aware that our postgraduate students devote a large component of their time for the patient care services and thus they have less time for self-study by the end of the day. The timing of this activity is therefore very carefully chosen. The sessions will be held late in the afternoon so that the beneficiaries do not have to make any extra effort for attending them. This by itself exudes the philosophy of a true teacher, a mentor that will handhold the children through the process of their active learning. As the sessions are online, which by its very design is a non-synchronous platform, it may seem that the delivery of the content will be one-sided, but enough measures have been planned and they are in place to make the activity as interactive as possible. The topic of the session will be shared with the students well in advance. This will allow them enough time to explore the subject and be better prepared to absorb the content. This design, therefore, also matches the concept and principles of adult learning. The program not only will help our postgraduate students in being better prepared for their examinations, but also will equip them with sufficient knowledge, understanding, and approach to be a better professional in their field. I wish this program all success. Thank you.
Thank you for the message. As Sir precisely told that the timing of this session is now changed. Earlier it was in the evening, late evening, but now it is not affecting their clinics, and also is an appropriate time to attend and to gain more knowledge for the human betterment. So in order to continue the session, now I would like to invite the speaker, the eminent personality of today's session. He is no other one. He is Professor Yogesh Chawla, sir. Professor Yogesh Chawla, sir, is currently the chairman of academics at Kalinga Institute of Medical Sciences, Bhubaneswar. He is the former director of PGIMR Chandigarh, and he has received prestigious Padam Shri award by Government of India in 2015. He has also received the prestigious BC Roy Award uh, from also Medical Council of India Silver Jubilee Research Award in 1999 for research in the field of hepatology. His ICMR awards include MN Sen Oration Award for his work on portal hemodynamics, and Amrit Modi Unichem Prize also for the work on the ectopic varices in portal hypertension. He is on the editorial board of Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology Australia, Hepatology International Japan, Liver International Denmark, Digestive Diseases and Sciences US, and Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hepatology India. This is just a brief introduction about Professor Yogesh Chawla, sir. He has done many things and a lot of work for the humanity. So now I would like to invite Professor Yogesh Chawla, sir, for a very important discussion for all the clinicians, irrespective of any branch today, and that is organ donation and transplantation. Now it's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jaswantji. Thank you, Dr. Sareen, Dr. Srinivas, Dr. Sood, and above all, Umesh Kapil, who's been actively involved with the National Academy. This is a very important topic. Can I have my slides? Sometime back when Dr. Sareen took over as the president of National Academy, there was a discussion on what all are the important problems that are facing in the country. And we felt that organ donation is something which we are all lacking, because as you all know that in the country it is mostly living related donations rather than deceased. Deceased donations are mostly happening in South and West India, but somehow in North and East they are lagging a little bit. So this was an important issue, which the National Academy then formed a task force consisting of. Can I have the slides in front of me? So that's all right. Huh? Yeah, you can all see the slides now. So, Acha, are you controlling the slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can do that also, sir. We are.
No, we will control it from our side. So give
Okay,
us
sir.
that handle.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, can you see the slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can the audience see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the National Academy. Okay. So the National Academy formed a task force, and this task force consisted of uh, people who had made significant contribution in organ donations in the past. And just to name a few of them, Dr. Mathur from Bombay, Harsha Johari sir from Delhi, Sunil Shroff, who is the founder of the Mohan Foundation, an NGO which has been promoting organ donation all over the country, mostly in the south. We had a heart transplant surgeon, Dr. Balakrishnan. Anil Kumar was initially the additional DDG of the National Organ Transplant Program, and currently he is the director. Dr. Rajneesh Sahaj was the director of NOTO then. Dr. Anita Panda, former head cornea transplant surgery from AIIMS. Dr. Vivek Kute, who's been very, very active as far as organ donations are concerned in the country, based in Gujarat. Dr. Nitin Agarwal, again, he was a nominee
Sorry,
of.
sir. Can you full screen the slides?
Can what?
Full screen the slides.
The
Just
full.
right click. Yeah.
Okay, right. And then we
Yes.
had
Okay.
Dr. Vipin Kaushal, our own medical superintendent from PGI, who had done extensive work on organ donations, and his assistant, Dr. Vijay Tadia. I would just like to mention that PGI had been given award by the government of India for one institute having done the maximum donations. This was a couple of years ago for 4 years consecutively, amounting to almost 50 organ donations every year. So we know that organ transplantation is something which saves lives, but there is a very large gap between the transplants that are happening and the patients who develop end stage organ failure. The number of transplants, no doubt in India, they are huge. It's probably the third country in the world which does the total liver transplants in a year after USA and China. But basically, we are more associated with live donor, and this is a well established fact. The deceased donor somehow has not picked up to the extent that one would have expected. And one of the main reasons that everyone attributes, and we also feel, is a poor clarity as far as brainstem death is concerned, and the failure to counsel the grieved patient's relatives. Moreover, there has been no audit of how many brainstem deaths have happened in different institutes. So it is absolutely important that organs that are donated are a national asset. And one has to differentiate it from body donation, which usually happens after death and is meant mainly for medical research and education and not for transplant. But before we go into the subject proper, let's look at the definitions which are important and which are there in the document that we published. What is brainstem death? It is a stage when all the functions of the brainstem are permanently and irreversibly ceased. Very close to it is donation after circulatory death, which is in short known as DCD. Brainstem death is BSD. And this is slightly different from brainstem death, not very widely practiced in the world except a very few centers. And this is irreversible cessation of circulatory and respiratory functions. Very little to differentiate between the two. In DCD, you look at the circulatory functions and respiratory functions stopping, whereas in brainstem death, you look at the different reflexes. So, what is the criteria for brainstem death? There should be a history of a patient being in deep coma. A neurological examination would help you. But the most important is there should be absent pupillary, corneal, cough, and gag reflexes. There should be an absence of oculovestibular reflex and oculocephalic tests. Failure of increase in heart rate by more than 5 beats per minute after 1 to 2 milligrams of atropine, absent respiratory efforts, and you may require to do apnea tests. But one has to exclude shock, hyponatremia, temperature less than 32 degrees centigrade, anesthetic agents, effect of that, barbiturates, encephalitis, Guillain-Barré, hepatic encephalopathy, uremia, hypophosphatemia, all of which give a similar clinical picture as brainstem death. So these have to be excluded. And there have been some instances where, because of these, people have been diagnosed as brainstem death, but on retrospectively, on further examination, they found these to be there. So whenever a patient is in the ICU and he's thought to be brainstem death, there has to be a second examination after 6 hours. And this brainstem death is consists of 4 physicians, 2 approved by the government of India to declare brainstem death, 1 neurologist or a neurosurgeon, superintendent of the hospital, and a treating physician. And the legal time of death is when second brainstem death certification is given. So what we have just spoken is deceased donation, and which the organ is, the patient is certified after brainstem death and DCD. There is also living donation where, which is mostly very common in India. You have a living related donor, and this transplantations usually happen with renal or hepatic transplants because there are 2 kidneys. 1 kidney can be given by the living donor, and a portion of the liver can be taken out and given to the recipient. But this doesn't happen with other organs. A lobe of the liver can also be given to a person with respiratory failure. So the whole process of organ transplantation is defined when an organ is implanted from a donor to a recipient, and this involves different phases of organ retrieval. You get the person who is the donor, which is organ retrieval. You have to preserve the organ for some time and transport it to the place where the recipient is available. So, in order to have some definite guidelines, the government of India came out with the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act in 1994. In short, it was known as THOTA, and where it stressed and made guidelines on the organ retrieval, storage, transplantation for therapeutic purposes and to prevent commercial dealing. And later on, the government came out with the National Organ Transplant Program, NOTP, which helped in organizing transplants in the country and promoted the financial framework, thereby promoting deceased organ and tissue donations. So, just to give you a background, the first kidney transplant in the world happened in 1954, whereas in India, the first successful kidney transplant happened in CMC Vellore in 1971 by doctors Johnny and Mohan Rao. The longest surviving recipient in India has been Mr. Kishan Ram Sharma, 45 years, and the longest surviving recipient in the world has been for 76 years. And the youngest recipient who's received a kidney transplant is 17-month-old boy. And there could be many more. This may be an old statistic, but just to give you an idea that the extent of the transplant, that the amount of benefit that it accrues for everyone. The first liver transplant was done in 1963 by Professor Thomas Tazel. In India, the first successful liver transplant was done by Dr. Rajshekhar in Apollo. The longest surviving liver transplant person has been 37 years. The youngest who's been transplanted was 5 days old, and that was done by our own liver transplant surgeon, Professor Rela, when he was in United Kingdom. And overall, the survival of liver transplants is about 70% at 5 years, and quite a lot of patients are alive till the age of for about 30 years after the transplant. You need to know that liver has a unique capacity to regenerate and grow, even if 90% of the kidney of the liver is removed. Heart transplant, the first one happened in 1967, and you all know about the person who did it, Christian Bernard. But in India, 1968, Dr. Prafulla Sen, he did the heart transplant, but this was unsuccessful. The first successful heart transplant was done by Professor Venugopal from All India Institute, Delhi. The longest survival of heart transplant has been 21 years in India and 39 years in the world. Lung transplant, similarly, in the world, first transplant happened in 1963, and in India, first transplant happened in 2012. The longest survival, 30 years. The success rate is about 70 to 85%. But I need to mention here that the lung is the most difficult to transplant because it is susceptible to infection. So, why do people prefer living donation, especially in India and the Asian countries? It can be performed electively, and where you have a family member looking after the patient or a close relative of the individual. So, you can plan the transplant and get the donation. For dialysis for kidney failure patients, it shortens the need for dialysis. The outcomes are supposedly slightly better than the diseased transplants, and it gives a good of positive emotional experience to the person who's given the liver or the kidney for a recipient who's dying. And a living donor gets back to work in 3 to 4 weeks by and large. But there is a negative side to it. There is perioperative mortality because it's a major operation, and about 10% of these individuals are morbid because of anesthesia and it being a major surgery. So, what are the organs that can be transplanted after brainstem death? Heart and lungs have to be transplanted within 4 to 6 hours once they are taken out from a donor. Liver, 6 to 12 hours. Kidneys can go up to 30 hours. Intestine, 6, and pancreas also 6 hours. The earlier you can do the transplant into the recipient, better are the results. The longer you delay, poorer are the results. So that is why once the organ is retrieved, it should be transplanted urgently. And one deceased donor can save 8 lives because there are 2 kidneys, liver can be split, a part of the lungs can be given, and that is how you can save individuals. And government has now made that once a deceased donation happens, all the cost is borne by the hospital from the donor's side for the donor. Not only that, the tissues also can be donated, and these tissues are cornea, bones, skin, veins, muscles, tendons, ligaments, cartilage, and heart valves. And these have to be donated within 6 hours of the death. But why is organ donation so difficult, and what are the obstructions in India and most of the other Asian countries? So there is no magic bullet to increase organ donation. Overall, there is a reluctance in India for either religious reasons, or there are some myths which are difficult to take out from the mind of individuals. But the other reasons could be lack of training in approaching relatives for an organ donation, and somehow the doctors or the healthcare workers are not very clear about brainstem death. Moreover, they are not aware of how to register. There is a lot of negative media publicity whenever wrong happens, and that brings about a fear and mistrust. Because the gap is so huge, lot of there have been checks and balances, but certainly you must be reading in the media of some issues also. Then body disfigurement is another issue which the relatives do not want. And finally, inadequate knowledge about brainstem death is something which hampers. Uh, there are some legal issues also, because mainly the cadaveric donors or deceased donors are road accident victims, and there are legal issues associated with it. But it has improved now amongst the hospital staff after they have been educated. So, in order to improve the organ donation, one should look at the example of Spain, which has the highest organ donation per million population in the world. They have a very good transplant coordinating team, which includes doctors, nurses, family counselors, grief counselors, all of which are well educated. Have There is good health infrastructure and human resources in this country, and that is why Spain has the maximum number of organ donations in the world. But India can be even better, because as you know that fatal road accidents, looking at the 2022 data, almost 1.7 lakh individuals die. 60% because of the road accident, 60% have associated head injury. Mostly young individuals are affected, and those who drive two wheelers. 65% have accidents at mainly the T junctions. This is something very interesting which I found while preparing for this talk. The second group that can be available for organ donation is a person with cerebrovascular accident, especially if there is brain hemorrhage. And this again is a common prevalence in our country, could be another source of organ donation. Now, this organ donation rates, I have just shown you a comparison that 49 persons per million in Spain, that is the highest in the world, is the organ donation rate, as compared to 36 in US, 24 in UK, and look at India, it's 0.52 or 0.65, a slightly better now with lot of education, but we are far below the even the other neighboring countries like Thailand and Saudi Arabia. So we need to improve. Now, this is some information that was given to me by the NOTO director, Professor Anil Kumar, and this would give you an idea that there are about 2 lakh individuals who have kidney failure every year. But the number of transplants that we do is about 12,000 or 13,000, mostly life related, less so cadaveric. About 40 to 50,000 patients get end stage liver disease, but just 4,100 or 4,200 get transplanted. 50,000 patients of cardiac disorders need a transplant, but only 221 last year had got the transplant. And same is the poor show of transplants with lung, pancreas, and small bowel. So the gap between the requirement and the transplants that are happening is huge. So the government of India has been helping in a major way to bring about organ donations, and they formed the National Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization, (NOTO), which is the apex body that regulates the donation and keeps a check on the transplants in the country. This is based in Delhi. But supporting the facts and figures is from the regional organ and tissue transplant organizations known as ROTO. They are based in Mumbai, Calcutta, Chandigarh, Chennai, Guwahati, and they cater to 5 to 7 states. And the states are governed by SOTO, which are only 14 of them. Some of them have still to take up this. So these organizations are nodal agencies which allocate the organs to different hospitals. They build up a waiting lists for the patients who require a transplant, and they help in integrating efforts of states, institutes, healthcare professionals, NGOs, and community. And by and large, any organ donation that happens has to go to the hospital which has done the donation, and the second kidney would go to the Roto or the Roto, which will tell them which hospital would take that. But by and large, government hospital donations go to the government hospital and private go to the private hospital by and large. But there is always a room for going beyond this. And whenever there is a trans-state allocation, the ROTO and the NOTO needs to be informed. So, as I said, that if there is greater awareness on deceased donor, several lives can be saved. Almost 20 patients die each day waiting for an organ. And very good fact, which was brought up by the Hindu newspaper, especially Dr. Kute had mentioned that even if one donation happens in the 600 medical colleges that we have and 20 AIIMS, we would be able to get about 630 or 20 organs which can be utilized and help a large number of patients. Not to say that organ donation is excellent in the United States. 10% only get the organ donation, organ transplanted because of poor organ donation there also. But some improvement has been done away, that the domicile rule has been eased. There have been easing of rules by the Ministry of withdrawal of life support, which is known as passive euthanasia, all of which tend to facilitate organ transplant across the country. The pediatric cadaveric donations are extremely rare. And if you look at the statistics, recently a child from Bhubaneswar, 1.5 years, 1.5 years old, the family had given the consent for organ donation. And this was a big news all over the country. But by and large, the pediatric cadaveric donations are much less than the adult ones. And statistics also show that for the living donors, the donors are mainly females, wives, mothers, sisters. And this, there has been a gender bias, and that needs to improve. And because of the morbidity and mortality associated with living donors, although to a very little extent, there is definitely a need for deceased donors. And many families lack suitable living donors in the family. So, who are the donors for living donation? Near relatives, and this includes the spouse, son, daughter, brother, sister, parents, grandparents, and grandchildren. All others who have to give the organ need to have permission from the State Authorization Committee. And in fact, we should all work very hard to improve the organ donation in the country. The one has to obtain no objection certificate from the police, and the forensic expert has to be taken into favor. Again, this gives you the information from Noto, which I got, where in 2023, about 17,000 organ transplants happened. The living related transplants happened about 14,000 in 2023, whereas deceased were only about 2,900 or 3,000. So this is the graph. The dip in both the graphs was during the COVID period. So over the years, the number of deceased donors, although they have increased slightly, but a lot needs to be done further. So this information, again given to me by the Noto, tells us that in the map of India, the orange colored states, they have not yet started or initiated the deceased organ donation activity at all. And some of them are very small: Andaman, Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Dadra. But we expect better results from Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, J&K, and Assam. And I hope with time things will improve. It also needs to be seen that Telangana has the highest donations in the country in 2023. The national average is 0.65 per million, whereas Telangana has much better donation and it has gone up to 5.41. We have about 655 registered organ transplant centers. And as you can see that the bars in red are the private centers and the one in green are the government centers. So much more private centers as compared to the government centers have taken up the job of doing transplantation in the country. And the NTORC, which are the retrieval centers, they have been recognized about 133. Here again, retrieval is much more in the private setup as compared to the government. So this tells you the 655 organ transplant centers and 133 retrieval centers distributed in the entire country. The government always helps if one wants to start a transplant program, and these are the financial grants given by the government of India. If anyone wants to start a retrieval center, 75 lakhs is given. If anyone wants to start a transplant center 1.5 crores. If one wants to upgrade, 75 lakhs. The government helps in procuring transplant coordinators, and also for the BPL, they tend to help in giving immunosuppressant therapy. Dignified funeral of the deceased donor, they give 10,000 rupees for per deceased person who has donated, and maintenance of bodies of deceased donor, 1 lakh per donation. So you see, lot of money goes into it. Unfortunately, the utilization is not one would have expected. So having told you the data of organ transplantation and the deficiencies that we have, we in our task force publication told what are the deficiencies that can be improved upon. The brainstem death identification certification and maintenance for organs is something which needs to improve. Brainstem death should be taught to all the undergraduates, postgraduates, the nursing staff, and especially the anesthetists, critical care individuals, and neurosurgeons, neurologists, so that every institute should have a very good idea of what brainstem death is. The infrastructure in hospitals is suboptimal, and we are not able to utilize whatever infrastructure is there in some hospitals. You get high-end equipments, but somehow the transplants are not happening the way they should have happened. There is shortage of manpower in government hospitals because getting surgeons and other staff for organ transplantation, at least in liver and others which require a lot of effort, people don't want to spend so many hours, and they are more comfortable in other aspects. So one has to have passion if transplant needs to be done, and you have to have a passionate team, which is a little difficult these days. Retrieval centers, they are not optimally utilized. We don't have proper guidelines for donation after circulatory death. We do not utilize the grants from the national program. I said the government of India, NOTO, gives a lot of money provided you give justification and you ask for it. So this again is a problem. And there is a regional imbalance, problem of equity and allocation. And the manpower allocated to SOTO, ROTO have to be passionate for pushing through organ donation and transplantation in their own regions. One should make brainstem death mandatory for all hospitals, and there should be an audit by the ROTO or the SOTO as to how many brainstem deaths have happened over a month or 2 weeks, depending on that. And the guidelines of BSD should be widely circulated. There should be a regular training program of brainstem death in all medical colleges and hospitals who have ventilators. In medical legal cases, which happens mostly in the road accident cases, the standard operating procedures should be streamlined and be widely known nationally as well as state-wise. And as I said, there should be a monthly audit of brainstem death by SOTO, and there should be training of the ICU staff, family counseling for end-of-life care. There should be some incentives for the transplant and retrieval centers by giving them some grants from the NOTO funds. There should be a hub and spoke pattern for retrieval and transplantation. In fact, all trauma centers should be registered. You have so many trauma centers in the country, but I doubt if most of them are taken up as retrieval centers or not. All medical colleges and hospitals should be identified as non-transplant retrieval centers. NOTO should have more financial powers, and monthly activities of NOTO, ROTO, SOTO should be notified on the website, and they should have future workshops, and the whole calendar should be displayed. Performance of these organizations should be assessed by independent bodies. For the hospital and ICU, there should be a audit of death, especially brainstem death, and find out the missed opportunities and possible solutions that have happened. There should be standard operating procedures for donation, and it should, there should be these should be made mandatory for certification. For recertification of the center, one should have a good performance status of the retrieval centers and the transplant centers before you recertify them. Grief counselors or transplant coordinators should be there in all the places where transplant is to happen, at least four of them in government sectors, different for donors and for recipients. Police needs to be sensitized for organ donation, and I'm happy that in most of the states where transplants are happening, the police is sensitized to that. They know the importance of organ donation, and they take care of the medical legal issues as fast as possible, because you have to release the body also at the same time get the organs for the recipient. And there should be frequent interactions with police chiefs as well. So education and training is absolutely important, and there should be organ transplant units in all medical colleges with faculty having expertise in organ transplantation. One should identify a medical college in every state and a center of excellence for multi-organ transplantation. One should recruit people only who have a passion for organ transplantation and strengthen these organ transplant departments with the corresponding departments related to the transplants. Train all postgraduates in basic life support and advanced life support. Increase the awareness. Transplant societies should help training ICU professionals and surgeons for brainstem death. There should be fellowships and short-term attachments at transplant centers. Trauma centers should be better equipped, and there should be a curriculum on organ donation in all the medical colleges and a chapter possibly on organ donation, so that the youngsters get motivated and know about organ donation. Ayushman Bharat, which helps individuals with a fund of 5 lakhs, should cover all transplants. At the moment, it covers only renal transplant and bone marrow, but should cover all transplants. But there are some centers who, with all the shortcomings of funds, do crowdfunding and do CSR funding for poor patients. Insurance, of course, takes care of some individuals who have insurance with them. There should be dedicated transplant departments for multi-organ transplant, dedicated ICU beds for organ donation. And one should, if possible, at least in big centers, machine perfusion should be done so that you have an extended criteria for maximizing the utilization of deceased organ. You need to honor the family members on organ donation day, which happens to be on 13th of August. And there are centers who organize different festivals, walkathon and sports day. All these things happen in big institutes. At least I'm familiar with what happens in PGI. A memory tree plantation in honor of organ donation helps a lot in boosting the morale. Our Prime Minister, in his Man Ki Baat radio program, mentioned about organ donation quite some time back. And the media also has been very active in organ donation, but much more needs to be done. Festival celebrations of those who have been transplanted should be done. Religious and faith leaders have to be taken into the loop, and media should give more of positive information on organ donation rather than give negative publicity. And organ pledging as having a statement made in the driving license or a pledge from the government of India, which is available to all should should be done, and this is excellent that almost 1.3 lakh individuals from 17th of September 23 till date have pledged their organs for organ donation. So what is the way forward? My almost concluding slide is you should try to incentivize hospitals, have annual conferences on organ donation. All national conferences uh, should have a session on organ donation. The NOTO, ROTO, and SOTO should be more active. And organ transplantation involves green corridors, and the airlines have always been very helpful. People are familiar now with the green corridors, and one movie, Traffic, which some of you must have seen, spoke or showed about the green corridors. There is some role of digitization. 24-hour call centers are there in NOTO, and awareness in school and colleges should be done. Repeatedly, one should go and keep on telling them about organ donation and its importance. And the judges, legal experts, police, traffic personnel, all of them should have repeated orientation and sensitization. So the way forward is one nation, there should be one allocation policy, one portal, national registry, digitized organ donation. And my final slide is that organs donated are a national asset and organ transplantation should be a national priority. We are the gap between the requirement and the transplant is huge, and that needs to be narrowed down. Otherwise, some amount of trafficking would keep on happening, as we read in the newspapers. So thank you all for your patient listening. I'll be happy to take questions and comments from the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the interesting session. Sir, there are several questions which have been asked. The one question was posted on YouTube. Thank you, sir, for the lecture. I am geriatric medicine resident. Considering high mortality in geriatric population, is there any age limit for the organ donors?
Usually, the age limit that is kept is around 60, 65, 70. But there has been a report that even a 95-year-old individual in desperate situations has given organ donation. But by and large, it's about 60, 65 in the general information.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. The next question is from Dr. Amlendu Yadav. How to handle a situation where patient is certified brain dead, but now refused to donate organ? What should be the time of death mentioned in such cases, brain death time or cardiac arrest time?
So, for a diagnosis of brainstem death, you have to have two examinations at 6 hours duration. So, if the person refuses after the first brainstem death, whenever brainstem death happened should be the time of demise. And if it happens after the second brainstem death meeting, then it has to be after that.
Right. One comment from Dr. Sharon Sonia. Thank you, sir, for the interesting, thought-provoking presentation. Let's see his written. So, any other doubts or queries from the participants? They are welcome to write or speak in the mic. Even if they don't want to type, they can speak. They can unmute themselves and they can ask.
I and certainly people should so you get There are short movies made by different institutes. We had made one just to motivate people while they are sitting in the lobby. Waiting for their yes, we got disconnected.
Yes, sir. Now the voice is better.
Dr. Jaswant, anything in the chat box?
Sir, apart from that comment, they haven't posted anything else. Yes, sir. The same question that I was about to ask. Can you please suggest any good material to spread awareness for the organ donation, especially in India, and the videos which are in regional languages? Because in India, very few people they do speak English and they understand English. Like uh, it doesn't touches their heart or mind. So
Yeah,
any good
I,
material, sir?
I think we in PGI had made one which was very touching, but I would suggest that one would have to look at the regional ones. I'm not very familiar with that, but let
Right,
people watch these movies which I just mentioned.
right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir.
Let them go to the Google.
Right, sir.
Bebasi, Raag, Duvidha, all these are movies which have happened. For a heart transplant, Dil Ne Jise Apna Kaha. This was another movie a few
Right,
years
sir.
ago. So let
Right,
the
sir.
audience go through these movies.
Right, sir. So there is another question posted in the chat box. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful talk. How to recognize a fake and genuine doctor, especially by doctors? Oh, sorry, genuine donor, especially by the doctors. Okay, and that may be in the case of live organ donor transplant. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So this that's why this committee has a lot of people, and each one has their own input. You need to have a lot of certificates to identify which one is a fake or a genuine donor. So the authorization committee of the institute takes this responsibility, and by their own means, they are able to pick up fake donors. So I think with experience, the committee is able to identify who are fake and who are genuine.
right, sir. Right. Sir, is there any like is there anything in protocol such as mental health screening? Because there might be some donors who are not of sound mind and like they might be taken for the organ donation. They are not aware about, they are unable to have a proper judgment. They are unable to take a proper decision. So, like in the protocols of organ donation, is there any such thing of mental health screening or for the donor
All
or
this is
recipient?
assessed. All this is assessed by the authorization committee. They can call for the help of a psychiatrist. It may not give an answer in a day or two, but the
Right,
psychiatrist would be able to assess any mental health issues that these patients have. That's a very good point that you raised, but I think all that gets sorted out by the authorization committee.
right, sir. Right, sir. So there is another question posted by Dr. Ashutosh. Yes, sir. What about the scenario and prospect of intestine transplantation in India?
See, intestinal transplants do happen, but very rarely. It is associated with a lot of infection is a major problem, and that is why most centers do not take it up. Intestine has bacteria, so the chances of infection is much more in this group of patients, and it is not that rewarding as these solid organ transplants. Dr. Sanjay, you want to say something?
No, I
Yes.
just want to say, first of all, wonderful lecture. I just want to add that in most of the center currently in India, at least for kidney, both recipient and donors are evaluated by the psychiatrist.
Right, right. So that's a very good information that you've given. Wonderful.
I was at AIIMS and I have seen Sanjay sir's practice there. So that I was aware, but in the rest of the India, what is happening that I wanted to know, sir. Yeah,
Uh, I think only the other centers would be able to tell us what
right, sir.
happens. Yeah.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay, sir. So I think there are no further questions. Okay, one comment is that AIDS and transplantation. Uh, they haven't asked anything other than this. So, is there any specific thing that we need to take care? Like, or are there any incidences of AIDS in transplantation? I don't know what they have asked.
I important message that we need to convey is that each one of us should be trained in identifying brainstem death.
Sir, your voice is disconnected. Your voice is not clear. I think your Yogesh sir, are you able to hear me? You are not audible, sir. Maybe there might be some connectivity issue, I think. Professor
And
Yogesh
it should
sir,
be made
yes sir.
distributed amongst the residents. They should all be familiar, and individuals should be taking account of all the brainstem deaths that have happened. Anything more, Dr. Jaswal?
Yes sir. Yes sir. There is one question: status of lung transplantation in India.
Anything more?
Sir, they have asked just this thing, that is there are there any cases in the uh, like for the lung transplantation in India that they have asked, and nothing else, sir. Sir, we are unable to hear your voice. Hello, sir. Professor Yogesh, sir, I think your computer got disconnected. Professor Yogesh, sir, are you able to hear us? सर आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा था. I think there might be network issues which are persisting. So that was a very informative session from Professor Yogesh Chawla sir. And those who have asked that regarding the PPTs and presentations, yeah, these videos and presentations can be accessed from the website of National Academy of Medical Sciences, which Professor A.K. Sood sir will also tell us. So, sir, any comments, Sanjay sir?
Are you asking from me?
Yes, sir. Professor Sanjay Kumar Agarwal sir. आपसे
नहीं,
पूछना sir. Any comments?
No, I think Dr. Yogesh has got disconnected. There are
Sir.
centers who are doing lung transplant regularly. They are more in south as compared to north, but even north is also has done lung transplant. But in terms of a number, these are very few.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So now we can move on to conclusion of the session, I think, because there are persistent connectivity issues. However, it was very informative session. So now I would like to invite Professor A.K. Sood sir for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jaswant. Again, on behalf of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, again, it is my great privilege to thank the distinguished speaker for this evening, Dr. Y.K. Chawla, sir. He has covered this very complex topic in a very simple way. And the issues which he has raised are very important for all of us who are working in medical institution, how we can promote this organ donation and transplantation. And he mentioned about the difficulties and also the structures which are available and what are the important action which we should take at a medical college level in teaching and as well as increasing the facilities. We are really grateful to you, sir, for your support, and we look forward for your blessing in future also. I would also like to thank all the directors, faculty members, head of department, and postgraduate students who have been with us this evening, and your presence is source of encouragement. I want to make appeal to all the faculty members that this is your own program, and please come forward, suggest topics, and also come for taking this lecture session. In this particular session, I also noted our council member, Honorable Dr. Sanjay Kumar Agarwal, sir, and thank you, sir, for making your observation. Your presence again is a source of encouragement for all of us. So I thank you all for being with us. Now, some information for a participant, especially the postgraduate students, that the next session is due on 21st of June. As you know, we are having two parallel series. In that 21st June session, we have been covering some orthopedic session. So maybe some of you who are working in orthopedics department, you can join that. We'll send you all the details. Then from July onwards, we are starting another interesting online facility for postgraduate students. In collaboration with ICMR, NAMS has been planning to start a national level biostatistical helpline for the postgraduate students. So this helpline, we are expecting to be active in the month of July, and where the postgraduate students can send their queries related to their thesis, sample size, tool development, analysis, presentation, everything. They can send online and can have consultation from the most, you can say the epidemiologists, best experts in epidemiology and biostatistics. So this is another program which we are starting from July. Then all of you who are interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning, NAMS in collaboration with International Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, is planning to have an online short-term certificate program. This again, we are hoping will start towards the end of July. So this will be a 3-month program where again online, and there will be some sort of physical, you can say, program also. So you can also look into our website and register. So I would like to thank Dr. Jaswant, who has been helping us in moderating the session. Thank you so much for your valuable support and help. Here at NAMS, our IT team, Mr. Ravi and Mr. Shivam has been helping us in organizing all the Zoom meeting and writing letter to all of you. So thank you so much for their support. And once again, I would like to thank all of you for being with us this afternoon. And we look forward for your support in future hours. Over to you, Dr. Jaswant.
Thank you, sir, for delivering the vote of thanks. I think now we can conclude the session. It was really wonderful sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jaswant. Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Sood. Sorry for being disconnected, but I'm on my iPhone now.
It was really very nice
Thanks,
session.
sir.
Thank you so much for it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sir.